Ladies and gentlemen, listen closely, for today I am about to speak truths that will shake the very core of your existence. We live in a world that constantly tells us to care for everyone, to put others before ourselves, to bend and break in order to satisfy the expectations of others. But I say to you, enough. There is a fire within you that is waiting to be unleashed. A power that will only awaken when you stop seeking validation from the world and begin to honor the one person who truly matters. You. To become narcissist, as the world calls it, is not to love yourself selfishly in a shallow sense. It is to reclaim your own heart, mind, and soul. It is to place yourself first, not in arrogance, but in awareness, respect, and absolute devotion to your own growth. You are your own universe. Every thought you think, every emotion you feel, every choice you make, it all revolves around a center that is uniquely yours. When you wake up in the morning and the world seems loud and demanding, remember that your universe exists independent of anyone else's opinions. Imagine standing at the edge of a bustling street, cars honking, people rushing, and yet within you there is a quiet galaxy, spinning and glowing with possibilities that no one else can touch. You are not defined by their chaos, nor shaped by their expectations. Your universe is vast, full of stars you have not yet discovered, planets of potential you have not yet explored. Think of the child who plays alone in a corner, building castles from sand while others run and shout. That child is unknowingly cultivating an entire cosmos of creativity and wonder. Your solitude, your focus, your choices are the building blocks of your own galaxy. Consider the woman who wakes at dawn, makes a cup of tea, and sits by the window watching the sunrise. The world outside might be filled with noise, but in that quiet moment she is tuning into her own orbit. Every sip, every breath, every heartbeat is a reminder that she does not need to seek permission to exist, to shine, to grow. Her universe is not determined by the neighbor's gossip, the colleague's criticism, or the societal pressures that demand she conform. Her universe is hers, and it will expand as she nurtures it with intention, with love, and with the courage to honor herself first. Or think of the young man who spends hours practicing the guitar in a dimly lit room, fingers bleeding, sweat on his brow, while the world outside mocks his ambition. He does not complain. He does not seek validation. Every note, every chord, every mistake is a building block of the universe within him. That universe is rich with talent, patience, and resilience, far beyond the shallow judgments of anyone watching. He is crafting a cosmos that will one day resonate with people who are meant to hear it. But for now, he is content knowing that he is the architect of his own destiny. Even in the mundane, in the simple routines of life, your universe exists. The cashier who greets every customer with a smile is not just processing transactions. She is weaving a galaxy of kindness that touches souls in ways she cannot measure. The teacher who stays after hours grading papers and offering guidance is shaping stars within young minds, expanding universes silently, without applause or recognition. Your universe is in the small acts of courage, in the daily choices that prioritize your growth and your peace above external chaos. When the world demands that you compare yourself to others, remember that every universe is different. The neighbor's mansion does not diminish your own solar system. The colleague's promotion does not eclipse your orbit. The friend's popularity does not shrink your stars. Your universe is infinite and cannot be measured by the fleeting, superficial standards of those around you. Picture yourself holding a telescope and looking at distant constellations. The stars you see in the sky are magnificent, but they are not yours. You have your own constellations to discover, your own planets to nurture, your own black holes of pain to transform into suns of strength. This is your power, this is your freedom. Even heartbreak, even failure, even betrayal is part of the universe you own. Imagine a person walking through the ruins of a stormed city, stones at their feet, debris around them, yet within there is a spark of light, a new star forming. Every painful moment is a collision of matter that creates new energy, new possibilities, new galaxies. Your universe is not defined by the storms you face, but by how you use them to illuminate the darkness, to grow brighter, to expand further than you imagined possible. Daily choices are also part of your cosmic design. The decision to read a book instead of scrolling endlessly on social media, the choice to meditate instead of reacting impulsively, the moment you say no to a draining conversation and yes to your own peace, these are the gravitational forces that hold your universe together. They create the orbits that keep your stars aligned, the magnetic fields that guide your energy, the constellations that will one day inspire others to navigate their own worlds. And yes, your universe is contagious. When you honor your space, your rhythm, your essence, others feel it. A friend may witness your calm in chaos and find courage. A child may see your joy in solitude and learn to cherish their own. Your universe, when respected, becomes a lighthouse, a beacon, a galaxy that illuminates paths for others without dimming your own light. Your radiance does not take from anyone else. It multiplies, it inspires, it teaches the world that self-possession is not arrogance, but the natural order of your being. You are the sun and the moon, the storms and the calm, the black holes and the brilliant supernovae. You contain galaxies of dreams, nebulae of ideas, constellations of potential. Every day you wake, you are expanding, creating, and discovering new worlds within yourself. Your universe is yours alone, and it is boundless. In the rush of the city, the noise of opinions, the pressures of life, remember this truth: you are a cosmos, a constellation, a universe that does not bend to anyone else's expectations. You orbit your own center, and that center is sacred, invincible, eternal. Silence is your ally. In a world that never stops talking, where notifications, opinions, and judgments bombard you every second, silence is the most powerful force you can wield. It is not emptiness, nor is it weakness. It is a space where your mind sharpens, your soul listens, and your spirit grows. Imagine a crowded room where voices clash, people shouting to be heard, but you remain quiet, observing, absorbing, understanding. That quiet is not ignorance, it is power. Every word you withhold, every response you pause before giving, is a seed of strength you plant in the fertile soil of your own life. Consider the student in class, surrounded by chatter, everyone competing to answer first, to be recognized, to shine. And there is one student who listens. Not a word escapes their attention, not a subtle gesture goes unnoticed. When the moment comes, they speak, and their words are not only heard, they resonate. The silence they cultivated allowed their mind to gather knowledge, to weigh opinions, to prepare and answer tea. Hat is precise and impactful. Silence gave them clarity. Silence made them powerful. Think of the employee in a heated meeting where colleagues argue over petty disputes and emotions flare like uncontrolled flames. The employee remains calm, silent, unshaken. The room roars around them, but inside, a stillness governs. When it is time to speak, their words cut through the noise, carrying authority and wisdom. The power of silence is not just in withholding speech. It is in sharpening your mind, in allowing you to see what others cannot, to understand what others miss, to act when others react. Even in daily relationships, silence holds a special magic. When someone insults you, provokes you, or attempts to manipulate you, your silence is more eloquent than any reply. It is a shield, a mirror, a test. The person who tries to stir you will eventually reveal their true colors, because silence forces truth to surface. Observe a child in a playground teasing another. The teased child does not cry out, does not retaliate immediately. They pause, reflect, and the child who initiates the chaos eventually tires, showing who they really are. In this small act, silence is the teacher, guiding the quiet child to strength and discernment. Silence is also a sanctuary. Imagine the early morning before the world awakens, the air still, the city quiet, your breath the only sound. In that space, you confront your thoughts, your fears, your dreams. You listen to the whispers of your heart that the world drowns out with noise. Every decision you make after this moment carries the weight of intention rather than reaction. The person who masters this morning, silence masters their entire day, because they have learned to center themselves before responding to the chaos around them. Even in moments of grief, silence is a companion. When the pain of loss is unbearable, words often fail. Those who rush to speak, to console with cliches, may offer comfort, but the deepest healing comes in quiet reflection. You sit with your pain, you allow it to speak in its own language, and through that stillness, you discover strength you never knew existed. Consider a widow sitting in the quiet of her home, memories surrounding her like shadows. She does not shout, she does not demand understanding. She listens. In that listening, she learns to forgive, to release, to transform sorrow into resilience. Silence becomes the bridge between heartbreak and wisdom. Silence is a tool in negotiation, in leadership, in influence. The person who rushes to speak fills space but often loses control. The one who remains silent, who listens intently, who measures every word before it leaves their lips, commands respect. Imagine a boardroom where deals are made, where fortunes are discussed, where alliances form. The person who speaks less, who listens more, who allows others to reveal their intentions, holds the real power. Silence is strategy. Silence is insight. Silence is the sword of the wise. Even in social media, silence can be revolutionary. When criticism floods your comments, when envy tries to pierce your confidence, when trolls aim to provoke, responding impulsively only fuels their fire. The one who remains silent, who rises above the petty battles, who focuses on creating instead of reacting, radiates authenticity and strength. Their silence speaks louder than 1,000 arguments, drawing respect, admiration, and influence. Every post, every thought shared intentionally carries the gravity of someone who has mastered themselves. Silence is also a teacher of patience. In a world that rewards speed and punishes delay, those who learn to pause, to breathe, to reflect, find clarity others never reach. A gardener planting seeds knows that rushing the growth will destroy the crop. Similarly, in life, the silent observer understands timing, reads situations, and acts with precision. Consider an artist sketching a painting. They step back frequently, observing their work in silence, adjusting, refining, letting the masterpiece emerge naturally. The power lies not in frantic motion, but in deliberate quietude. Your silence is not a void. It is a force, a presence, a universe of thought and power. It allows you to hear your own voice, to see the unseen, to understand the unspoken. It transforms reactions into actions, chaos into clarity, fear into wisdom. Those who honor silence do not merely survive, they thrive. They are unshakable, unyielding, unstoppable, because they have learned that the most powerful conversations are often the ones we have within ourselves, in quiet, in reflection, in stillness, in the sacred sanctuary of our own minds. Self-love is not vanity, it is survival. In a world that constantly seeks to devalue, criticize, and diminish you, loving yourself is the most radical act of resistance you can perform. It is not arrogance to honor your worth, it is wisdom. Consider the single mother who rises before dawn, preparing breakfast for her children, ensuring they are dressed, fed, and cared for, all while feeling the weight of exhaustion pressing down on her shoulders. She takes a moment in the quiet of her own bathroom, looking into the mirror, acknowledging the lines on her face, the weariness in her eyes, and whispering, "I am enough. I am worthy." That small act of recognition fuels her strength for the day, and without it she would be lost in the demands of survival. Self-love is the breath that sustains her through chaos. Think of the young man who works tirelessly at his job, facing daily ridicule from co-workers, dismissive supervisors, and relentless societal expectations. He is told he is not ambitious enough, not skilled enough, not attractive enough, and yet he chooses to take care of himself. He eats properly, he exercises, he reads books that ignite his intellect, he journals his thoughts in the quiet hours of the night. Each act of self-care is a declaration that he will not allow the world to dictate his worth. Self-love is the armor that shields him, the compass that guides him, the weapon that ensures he survives not only physically, but spiritually, emotionally, and mentally. Even in relationships, self-love is the line between survival and destruction. The woman who recognizes her value does not settle for disrespect, neglect, or abuse. When a partner's words sting or actions betray, she does not shrink. Instead, she strengthens herself, reminding her heart that her love is sacred, that it must be given only where it is reciprocated, and that protecting her soul is a non-negotiable act of survival. Imagine a friend trying to manipulate her emotions, to guilt her into submission. She remains firm, she remains calm, and in that space, she practices the ultimate act of self-preservation. She loves herself enough to walk away from toxicity. Self-love is the lifeline that ensures she remains whole, even when the world tries to fracture her. Self-love manifests in the choices you make every day, when you choose to say no to draining obligations, when you prioritize rest over endless productivity, when you forgive yourself for mistakes rather than punishing yourself endlessly. You are practicing survival. Consider a student staying up late, pressured by exams and expectations. Instead of ignoring their exhaustion, they allow themselves rest, knowing that their mind and body require nurturing to perform at their best. In this act, they honor their human limits. Self-love ensures that you do not burn out before you have the chance to shine, that you preserve your energy for the battles worth fighting, for the dreams worth chasing. Even in the face of criticism, self-love is survival. When someone questions your ambitions, mocks your dreams, or ridicules your choices, you have the option to shrink, to argue, to fight endlessly, or you can rise quietly, confident in your worth, immune to their shallow judgments. Consider an artist creating in solitude, mocked for their unconventional style. They continue to paint, to sculpt, to write, because self-love whispers in their ear, your voice matters. Your expression is valid, keep going. That whisper transforms into a roar, a force that propels them forward, ensuring not only survival, but the flourishing of their unique talents. Self-love is also about setting boundaries that protect your soul. When a colleague demands your time, when a friend drains your energy, when a family member oversteps, self-love compels you to draw the line. Consider a person constantly called upon to help others, always saying yes to demands, neglecting their own health and happiness. One day they decide to say no, to prioritize their needs, to honor their own life. That single act is survival in its purest form. By valuing themselves, they ensure that their spirit remains unbroken, their energy intact, and their heart capable of giving fully without being depleted. Even in self-reflection, self-love is essential for survival. When we face our fears, our insecurities, our past mistakes, we are tempted to retreat into self-criticism. But self-love allows us to observe with compassion, to forgive our missteps, to grow from pain. Picture a person looking at a failed relationship, analyzing where they went wrong, and instead of wallowing, they whisper to themselves, I am learning, I am growing, I will rise. This internal affirmation is survival. It turns wounds into wisdom, scars into armor, and heartbreak into fuel for personal evolution. Self-love is not selfish. It is the foundation of all meaningful existence. The child who learns to cherish themselves becomes a resilient adult. The worker who protects their energy becomes productive and fulfilled. The dreamer who honors their vision becomes unstoppable. Every act of self-love ensures that you endure, that you thrive, that you leave the world not broken by its cruelty, but strengthened by your devotion to yourself. Self-love is the oxygen that keeps your spirit alive, the sunlight that allows your soul to bloom, the unshakable truth that no storm can destroy, detached from toxic mirrors. There are people in this world who reflect not your truth, not your light, but only the fears, insecurities, and judgments they carry within themselves. They are mirrors that distort your reflection, showing you flaws that exist only in their minds, not in your reality. To survive, to thrive, to truly become the magnificent being you are, you must learn to step away from those mirrors, to look only into the reflections that uplift, inspire, and honor your essence. Consider the young woman scrolling through social media, comparing herself to the curated lives of others, feeling smaller, less worthy, inadequate. She is staring into toxic mirrors, distorted reflections crafted by others' illusions and insecurities. The moment she closes the app, turns away, and focuses on her own journey, she begins to see her own radiance. The first step toward liberation is recognizing that these mirrors are lies masquerading as truth. Think of the student who constantly seeks approval from teachers or peers who are never satisfied. Every compliment is a trap, every criticism a weapon. Instead of internalizing these reflections, the student learns to to focus on their own progress and self-defined standards. They spend time cultivating their talents in silence, measuring their growth not by applause or nods, but by the quiet satisfaction of knowing they are improving, evolving, and honoring their potential. Detachment from toxic mirrors allows the mind to breathe, to focus on what truly matters, and to build resilience against the poisonous opinions that try to infiltrate your spirit. Even in families, toxic mirrors can exist. Relatives may pass judgment, impose expectations, or diminish your accomplishments because they are constrained by their own limitations. Imagine a young man returning home with a promotion, only to hear a cousin or uncle belittle his success, claiming he could have done better or that it is nothing extraordinary. Most would feel small, wounded, or unappreciated, but detachment changes the game. He smiles, nods, and says nothing, knowing that their reflection is not a measure of his worth. He celebrates his success in private, with gratitude, understanding that the mirror offered to him is tainted by jealousy and insecurity. In doing so, he protects his self-esteem, preserves his motivation, and continues moving forward unshaken. In friendships, toxic mirrors often disguise themselves as advice or concern. Friends who constantly compare your achievements to theirs, who subtly belittle your joy, or who frame your success as a threat, are mirrors that must be handled with care. Consider a woman who has recently started a successful business. A so-called friend questions her every decision, suggests she is overreaching, implies she is not capable. If she accepts these reflections, she doubts herself, she hesitates, she falters. But when she detaches, she sees the truth. Their criticism reflects their fears, not her reality. She continues building her empire, guided by her vision, not air-distorted mirror. She realizes that detachment is not rejection of people. It is protection of her soul. Even in romantic relationships, toxic mirrors can be deadly. A partner who constantly criticizes your choices, belittles your dreams, or tries to mold you into someone you are not is holding up a mirror that reflects what they fear, not who you are. Imagine a man being told repeatedly that his ambition is too much or that his emotions are too fragile. Instead of absorbing their negativity, he detaches. He affirms his self-worth daily, surrounds himself with people who see his light, and refuses to let the distorted reflection erode his confidence. Detachment does not mean cutting off love. It means refusing to let someone else's limitations dictate your life. In the workplace, toxic mirrors are everywhere. The co-worker who undermines, the boss who micromanages, the environment that thrives on gossip and comparison, they all reflect an image of you that is tainted by their own insecurities. Imagine a woman presenting her project in a boardroom, where judgmental eyes scrutinize every detail. Rather than shrinking under their gaze, she detaches. She sees the mirror for what it is, a projection of their fear and envy. She trusts her preparation, her intelligence, her skill, and lets her work speak louder than the distorted reflection of those around her. Detachment allows her confidence to shine like a beacon, proving that self-validation is far more powerful than approval from toxic mirrors. Even within your own mind, toxic mirrors can appear. Past failures, regrets, or internalized criticisms from childhood may echo like relentless whispers. The person who detaches understands that these reflections are not absolute. They are fragments, illusions, echoes of old wounds. Consider a young artist who remembers being told, "You'll never make it." They acknowledge the memory but do not let it define them. Each brushstroke, each sketch, each canvas becomes a declaration. Their reality is theirs to create, not a reflection of someone else's disbelief. Detachment from these internal toxic mirrors transforms self-doubt into self-empowerment. Detachment is a daily practice. It is noticing when someone's words, actions, or energy try to warp your sense of self and consciously choosing to step back. The child who refuses to engage in playground taunts, the adult who leaves a draining conversation without confrontation, the professional who ignores office politics while focusing on excellence, they are all practicing detachment. It is not ignoring reality, it is mastering it. It is not arrogance, it is survival. It is understanding that your value, your light, your essence is determined not by the reflections others offer, but by the unwavering truth that resides within your own soul. Invest in your mind, body, and soul. Life is a series of demands, distractions, and endless obligations, yet the one investment that yields the most profound returns is the one you make in yourself. Your mind, body, and soul are the trinity of your existence, and when nurtured, they become your greatest assets, your unshakable fortress, your guiding light. Consider the young student who wakes before sunrise, not because anyone demanded it, but because they have chosen to feed their mind with knowledge. They read books that challenge their thinking, write notes that capture their reflections, and engage in conversations that broaden their understanding. Every page turned, every idea explored, every thought questioned is an investment in the most powerful tool you possess, your intellect. A mind that is trained, nourished, and disciplined becomes a compass in the chaos, guiding decisions with clarity, insight, and wisdom, even in the simple acts of caring for your body. The impact is immeasurable. The man who chooses to rise early and exercise, to move his muscles and strengthen his heart, is investing not only in health, but in resilience. Each push-up, each run, each mindful breath taken is a declaration that he will not let life's weight break him. When stress strikes, when deadlines loom, when challenges arrive unexpectedly, the strength of his body carries him forward. Consider the nurse who works 12-hour shifts, constantly tending to others. She knows the importance of self-care, hydration, nutritious meals, rest, because without investing in her own body, she cannot sustain the lives she touches daily. Your body is not just a vessel. It is the foundation upon which your mind and soul operate. To neglect it is to limit the potential of your entire existence. Investing in your soul is equally vital. It is the quiet flame within you, the whisper of intuition, the echo of your higher purpose. Consider the artist who paints not for money, not for recognition, but because the act of creation feeds their soul. Each brushstroke, each hue, each canvas becomes a dialogue with their innermost self. In nurturing their soul, they become resilient to criticism, immune to doubt, and unshakable in their authenticity. Or imagine a person meditating at dawn, focusing on breath and awareness, aligning their energy with intention. That sacred time, devoted to the soul, builds inner peace, strengthens emotional resilience, and fosters a sense of purpose that nothing external can disrupt. Even in relationships, investment in mind, body, and soul is transformative. A couple who chooses to grow together, engaging in intellectual discussions, sharing physical activities, and exploring spiritual or emotional depth, creates a union that thrives beyond superficial attraction. Consider a woman who practices yoga, not life for physical flexibility, but for mental clarity and emotional balance. Her practice allows her to navigate conflicts with calm, to make decisions with clarity, and to carry herself with grace in challenging situations. Every act of self-investment ripples outward, influencing those around you in ways subtle but profound. Daily routines are opportunities for consistent investment. The man who journals each morning invests in his mind, organizing thoughts, reflecting on intentions, and tracking progress. The mother who reads nightly to a child invests simultaneously in her mind and soul, sharing knowledge while fostering connection. Even choosing to rest when your body demands it is an act of investment, honoring the physical vessel that sustains your journey. Consider the professional who prioritizes learning through courses, workshops, and mentorship. Each hour spent in growth multiplies their capacity, not only in career but in life, reinforcing the truth that self-investment compounds endlessly. Investing in your mind, body, and soul also means setting boundaries that protect your energy. Imagine a young woman who is constantly surrounded by negativity at work. She decides to dedicate time daily for reading, walking, or meditating. That investment allows her to return to the chaos with a sharper mind, a healthier body, and a soul untouched by toxicity. Consider the man who chooses nourishing meals over junk food, quality sleep over late-night distractions, and moments of reflection over constant social scrolling. Each decision, no matter how small, strengthens the pillars of his existence, preparing him to face life's storms with unwavering strength. Even in moments of failure, investment in self allows recovery and growth. The entrepreneur whose business fails does not despair entirely. Instead, they invest in learning from the experience, studying what went wrong, seeking guidance, and nurturing themselves to try again. Every step toward growth, mental, physical, or spiritual, turns setbacks into opportunities, pain into wisdom, and challenges into stepping stones. Consider the student who fails an important exam. Instead of internalizing shame, they invest in extra study sessions, in healthier routines, in mindfulness to manage stress. Their investment transforms failure into a foundation for future success. Investing in yourself is not selfish. It is survival, excellence, and the only way to live fully. It is a commitment that, when nurtured, empowers you to uplift others. The teacher who dedicates time to learn new methods becomes a better guide. The parent who invests in their emotional intelligence raises resilient children. The leader who cultivates wisdom, discipline, and empathy inspires teams to achieve beyond expectation. Every choice to invest in your mind, body, and soul echoes beyond your personal life, shaping the world in subtle, profound ways. The act of investment is continuous. There is no single moment, no ultimate destination. It is waking each day with the intention to grow, to learn, to care, and to nurture yourself. Your mind expands through curiosity, your body strengthens through care, and your soul flourishes through reflection and purpose. Consider the artist, the athlete, the scholar, the parent, the professional. All of them rise not because the world rewards them instantly, but because they have invested consistently, deeply, and intentionally in their mind, body, and soul. This is the secret of resilience, the key to self-mastery, and the foundation of a life that is not only survived, but fully lived. Embrace your solitude. In a world that prizes constant connection, noise, and distraction, solitude is a rare and precious gift. It is the space where your mind speaks, where your heart lists, and where your soul grows without interruption. Too often, people fear being alone, equating solitude with loneliness, emptiness, or failure. But the truth is that solitude is the forge in which greatness is crafted. Consider the student who retreats to the library, headphones on, books open, shutting out the chatter of peers. In this quiet, they wrestle with ideas, explore concepts, and discover solutions that elude others. Their solitude is not punishment, it is opportunity, a sacred time to sharpen the intellect and cultivate depth of thought that cannot emerge in noise or distraction. Even in daily routines, solitude becomes a teacher, the woman who wakes before dawn, not to meet anyone's expectations, but to savor the quiet, watches the sunrise, breathes deeply, and reflects on her intentions for the day. She listens to the rhythm of her own heartbeat, to the whispers of her own thoughts, and begins each day with clarity and purpose. In solitude, she finds power. In solitude, she finds herself. Each decision made from this centered place carries weight and authenticity that no influence from outside can match. Consider the young man who spends hours practicing an instrument alone in a small room, fingers moving across keys or strings while the world carries on unaware. In that solitude, he confronts his weaknesses, celebrates small victories, and creates music that resonates with his inner truth. Others might see wasted time, but he knows it is in these quiet moments that mastery is born. Solitude allows him to confront mistakes, refine skills, and connect with the essence of creativity that can only exist when one is undisturbed by external pressures. Even relationships benefit from solitude. The couple who understands the importance of personal space grows stronger because each partner has time to reflect, recharge, and nurture their individuality. Consider a mother caring for young children. She carves out moments to sit in silence with her cup of tea, to meditate, or to journal her thoughts. These moments are not indulgent, they are essential. By embracing solitude, she restores her energy, regains patience, and approaches her children with love, presence, and clarity rather than exhaustion, distraction, or resentment. Solitude also teaches resilience. The young professional working late into the night, alone in the office after everyone has gone home, learns to confront challenges without relying on validation from others. They make decisions, solve problems, and push beyond limits because they trust themselves. In solitude, they develop courage and self-reliance. When life presents obstacles that could otherwise intimidate, they face them confidently, for they have practiced navigating the world without dependence on constant reassurance. Even in moments of grief or heartbreak, solitude is transformative. The person who sits alone in their room, allowing tears to flow, emotions to surface, and memories to breathe, is learning the most vital lesson of all: to feel fully, to process deeply, and to heal authentically. Consider someone who has lost a loved one, someone whose heart is raw with absence. Friends may offer words, distractions, or advice, but true healing often comes in the quiet, in the moments when one faces the depth of loss without evasion. Solitude allows pain to be acknowledged, grief to be honored, and resilience to emerge organically. In creativity and innovation, solitude is indispensable. The writer, the painter, the inventor, the entrepreneur, those who embrace solitude tap into a reservoir of imagination that the noise of the world cannot provide. Consider the artist sketching at a cafe early in the morning before it opens. Each brushstroke, each line, each shade is born from introspection and observation. Without solitude, the subtle ideas that ignite genius are drowned in distraction. Solitude gives space for innovation, reflection, and the cultivation of vision that is uniquely your own. Even in personal growth, solitude is an ally. The student of life who retreats to a quiet park to meditate, to reflect, or to simply walk in silence learns lessons the world cannot teach. They confront their fears, examine their goals, and discover their desires with clarity and precision. A person who learns to embrace their own company discovers that external validation is unnecessary, that the true source of confidence and contentment resides within. Consider a young woman contemplating her career path, her heart filled with uncertainty. Alone in her room, journal in hand, she maps possibilities, weighs values, and makes choices aligned with her essence rather than the expectations of others. This alignment is only possible through solitude. Solitude also sharpens perception. The observer, quiet and attentive, notices details others overlook: the way sunlight reflects off leaves, the subtle shifts in a friend's expression, the silent lessons hidden in everyday life. Consider a teacher sitting quietly after class, reflecting on interactions with students, noting what worked and what did not. In solitude, they refine their approach, strengthen their patience, and deepen their understanding. The world teaches many lessons, but in solitude, wisdom is distilled. Embrace solitude not as absence, but as presence. It is a space of empowerment, reflection, and self-discovery. Consider the person who travels alone, navigating a city foreign to them, learning to ask questions, trust intuition, and find beauty in independence. Each step taken alone builds courage, self-confidence, and awareness. Each quiet meal, each walk, each silent moment in a park becomes a meditation on self-reliance. Solitude is not emptiness. It is fullness, a sanctuary where the mind clarifies, the body rejuvenates, and the soul connects to its deepest truth.